Right, hi guys, it's Karissa. I hope you guys are having fun staying home with your families right now, not having to go to school. That's always nice. Hopefully you guys are spending lots of quality time together and doing lots of fun things together. I definitely miss seeing you, and I'm going to miss seeing you for a couple Sundays, so I just wanted to check in with you guys and take a chance to share a Bible story with you since we can't be together in person, but you can watch this. So when I was little, my parents really liked reading with me these books that I have that tell all sorts of Bible stories. I've got a whole collection of them. In particular, I've picked one out today that I really liked, and I know you guys know it because you know the Bible so well. But I wanted to take a chance to read it with you because it's one that I really liked hearing, and I think you guys are going to like hearing it too. So the story is, of course, the story of Daniel and the lions. You can kind of see the cover on there with Daniel in the lion's den, and it is a really cool telling of what's really cool about this collection is that it tells it from the point of a little girl that actually gets to go into these Bible stories and experience them as if she was living during that time. So I always really liked that because you can kind of imagine if you were getting to spend time during that time in the Bible story. So I'm going to read it for you guys, and I hope you like it, and I'm going to try to hold it up well enough that you guys can see the pictures too, because the pictures are really good in this too. So it is The Story of Daniel and the Lions by Alice Joyce Davidson. All right. A little girl named Alice had some favorite things to do. She liked to read of animals and spend time at the zoo. A Bible story Alice chose to read and read again was about a man named Daniel and some lions in a den. You can see she's at the zoo, seeing all the lions over there. And she's spending time reading in her Bible while she's at the zoo as well, both things that she likes to do. One night as she was reading before she went to bed, an animal bird brought her a note, and this is what it said. Reading is the special key to take you where you want to be. So an airmail bird brought her a special note. We're going to see what happens after she reads this note. The Bible storybook she held became a giant screen. Alice walked on through to Bible land and came upon this scene. She saw a man named Daniel, who'd been captured as a lad and brought to far-off Babylon to serve the king they had. See, Alice is crossing into Bible land from her room into Bible land over here, and she's meeting Daniel over here. Daniel's going into the kingdom. Those people prayed to many gods, but 3 times every day, Daniel prayed to the one true God and followed in his way. A king named Darius ruled Babylon. His kingdom was so large and grand that he chose many leaders to help him rule his land. See King Darius there, and this is Daniel over here, doing his own thing, praying to his own God, regardless of what other people are doing in the kingdom. Of all the chosen leaders, Daniel was so good and wise that he became the favored one in King Darius' eyes. The others envied Daniel. They were jealous as can be and tried to find some failings as they watched him carefully. You can see that King Darius took favor with Daniel for being a good leader. You can see all the jealous faces of the not so favored ones over there. They're watching him very carefully. Don't know that I would trust them. They found nothing wrong with Daniel, but noticed that he prayed a lot. So they put their heads together and came up with this plot. The leaders who were jealous went to Darius and said, "O mighty king, we've made a law," and this is how it read. That can't be good. All right. For 30 days no one shall pray, nor ask for anything from any god or anyone except our mighty king. This law is for all leaders, all women and all men. Break this law and you will face fierce lions in their den. So they're saying for 30 days they're not supposed to pray to anyone but King Darius. And anyone who doesn't follow the law is going to get thrown into the lion's den. So Darius then signed the law, but Daniel still did pray to the one true God who loved him and heard his prayers each day. The others spied on Daniel, then reported what they saw, saying, Daniel should be punished, for he dared to break your law. So they kept watching him because they knew that Daniel was going to keep praying to God even when he was not supposed to, or when there was a scary law against it. They knew that he was going to keep praying. And they went and told Darius, try to get him into trouble. Now Darius loved Daniel, so he tried till nighttime came to find a way to change the law to which he'd signed his name. But the leaders then reminded him that this law was for all men, so Daniel must be thrown at once into the lion's den. So Darius was not happy about this law that had been passed. He probably thought it was a good idea at the time, but didn't realize that he was subjecting Daniel to possibly being thrown into the lion's den, and now he's going to have to follow through with it because it applies to everyone. King Darius told Daniel, Your God to whom you pray, surely he will save you, for you followed in his way. Then Daniel went into the den where the hungry lions stayed. A great big rock sealed off the den, and Daniel prayed and prayed. So you can tell at this point that King Darius had faith in Daniel's God because he knew that Daniel prayed every day to him and that he prayed even when he knew there was a law against it. And King Darius felt like because he was so loyal to his God that he was pretty sure God would stick up for Daniel too, even in the case that he was thrown into this big dark lion's den. You could see all those hungry lions in there. Oh my goodness, he's going to be in there all night. The lions walked around him. They showed their long, sharp claws. But Daniel kept on praying while they licked their hungry jaws. All night the king was worried, and when the morning came, he hurried to the lion's den and called out Daniel's name. He said he went into this den full of hungry lions, and King Darius was worried about him all night long. They're going to go check and see what happened to Daniel. Daniel, Daniel, speak to me. Are you alive in there? Did the God to whom you pray keep you in his care? Daniel answered, Yes, my king. Though I was full of fright, God's angel closed the lion's jaws and kept me safe all night. You could see no harm came to Daniel while he was in the lion's den. Darius was so worried. But it looks like, you guys, it looks like he even made friends with the lions while he was in there. They're letting him pet them. They're just best friends. The king was glad for Daniel. He took him out, and then he gathered Daniel's enemies and threw them in the den. The king then made a brand new law for everyone that day. Worship Daniel's one true God and follow in his way. So King Darius was not happy with these guys. They're the ones that got thrown into the den. Daniel was okay, and Darius was so pleased with how Daniel's God saved him that he decreed that everyone from this point on was going to follow Daniel's God, because if he was a big enough and powerful enough God to save him from all those hungry lions, that's probably the God that they want to be following. The the time had come for Alice to leave that Bible scene, she went back home by walking through her special giant screen. Then Alice thought of Daniel and how his faith stayed strong, and how he trusted God above when trouble came along. So Alice leaves the Bible story and she's thinking about how Daniel was thrown into this lion's den, but he still continued to pray to God because he knew he was going to save him. And he trusted him. You can see she's given that some thought. That's really something to think about. Daniel followed God's commandment to worship him alone. So even in the lion's den, God's loving care was shown. When Alice said her prayers that night, in her heart she knew that God who cared for Daniel would always bless her too. See, Daniel continued to pray. For God's kingdom is forever. He saves the great and small. And best of all, as Alice knows, God loves us one and all. You see, God's love is shining down on her as she's sleeping. So that is a really good one. That is the end of our story.